Imagine Brazil centuries ago, a land painted in shades of green, teeming with life and diverse cultures. This is where three groups crossed paths, their interactions forever shaping the destiny of a nation: the Bandeirantes, the Jesuits, and the indigenous tribes. The Bandeirantes were adventurers and explorers, driven by the promise of gold and glory. They ventured into the heart of Brazil, often leaving trails of both discovery and destruction. The Jesuits, on the other hand, were missionaries driven by a different kind of treasure-saving souls. They sought to convert the indigenous people to Christianity, establishing missions that became centers of learning and religion. Caught in the middle of this clash of cultures were the indigenous tribes, the original inhabitants of this vast land. They had their own beliefs, languages, and ways of life, finely tuned to the rhythms of nature. The arrival of the Europeans brought about a clash of worlds, a collision of values and aspirations. These encounters were rarely peaceful, marked by misunderstandings, exploitation, and resistance. The Bandeirantes, with their thirst for wealth, often saw the indigenous population as obstacles to be overcome, leading to enslavement and conflict. The Jesuits, though driven by their faith, also played a role in disrupting traditional ways of life, imposing their beliefs and values on the native populations. Driven by dreams of gold and the desire to expand Portuguese territory, the Bandeirantes embarked on daring expeditions into the unknown. They were tough and resourceful, navigating treacherous rivers and dense forests, facing dangers unknown in their homeland. The lure of riches fueled their ambition, pushing them further into the heart of Brazil. These expeditions, known as bandeiras, were often brutal. The Bandeirantes enslaved indigenous people to work in newly discovered gold mines or on their farms. They fought fierce battles with tribes who resisted their encroachment, leaving a trail of bloodshed and displacement in their wake. Despite the violence, the Bandeirantes played a pivotal role in shaping Brazil's borders. Their relentless pursuit of wealth led to the discovery of gold mines and vast new territories, expanding the Portuguese colony far beyond its initial coastal settlements. They forged paths into the interior, establishing towns and settlements that would later grow into major cities. The Bandeirantes' legacy is a complex one, marked by both exploration and exploitation. They are remembered as pioneers who charted the unknown, but also as ruthless conquerors who enslaved and decimated indigenous populations. Their actions had a profound impact on the demographics and power dynamics of colonial Brazil, leaving a legacy that is still debated today. While the Bandeirantes sought earthly riches, the Jesuits were driven by a different kind of treasure, the salvation of souls. They arrived in Brazil with a mission to convert the indigenous population to Christianity, believing it was their duty to save them from eternal damnation. The Jesuits established missions, known as reduções, across the colony. These missions served as centers of religious instruction, teaching indigenous people about Christianity and European customs. They learned to read and write, to sing hymns, and to pray in Portuguese. However, this conversion came at a cost. The Jesuits, often with good intentions, sought to replace indigenous beliefs and practices with their own. They condemned traditional rituals, separated children from their families, and imposed a strict European way of life. While some indigenous people embraced these teachings, many others resisted this cultural assimilation. They clung to their ancestral beliefs, their connection to the land, and their traditional ways of life. This clash of cultures led to conflict, with some indigenous groups rising up against the Jesuits and the Portuguese crown. The Jesuits left an undeniable mark on Brazilian culture and society. Their influence can be seen in the prevalence of Catholicism, in the educational system, and in the Portuguese language spoken throughout the country. Yet, their legacy is also intertwined with the suppression of indigenous cultures and the disruption of traditional ways of life. The interactions between the Bandeirantes, Jesuits, and indigenous tribes had a profound and lasting impact on Brazilian culture and society. The clash of cultures, the pursuit of wealth, and the mission to convert shaped the nation's identity in complex and often contradictory ways. The Bandeirantes expeditions led to the expansion of Portuguese territory and the formation of Brazil's vast borders. Their exploration opened up the interior of the country, leading to the discovery of gold and other resources that fueled colonial growth. However, their actions also resulted in the enslavement and displacement of countless indigenous people, leaving a legacy of exploitation and inequality. The Jesuits, with their mission to convert, left an undeniable mark on Brazilian religion and culture. Catholicism became deeply ingrained in society, influencing everything from art and architecture to social customs and moral values. However, their efforts to suppress indigenous beliefs and practices also contributed to the loss of cultural diversity and the marginalization of native populations. The legacy of these encounters is visible in modern Brazil's diverse population, its rich cultural tapestry, and its ongoing struggle to reconcile its colonial past with its present-day realities. The languages spoken, the food we eat, the music we cherish, and the social issues we face are all echoes of this complex and often tumultuous history. Understanding the interactions between the Bandeirantes, Jesuits, and indigenous tribes is essential to comprehending the complexities of Brazilian identity. It is a history marked by both progress and exploitation, by cultural exchange and violent conflict. By acknowledging this complex legacy, we can work towards a more just and equitable future for all Brazilians.